So I know it's a bit cryptic why you're always right, but I'll get straight into it and we can find out more. So if you think you lack confidence, you're right. If you think you've got confidence, you're right. If you think you're no good at promoting yourself, you're right. If you think you're not good at promoting yourself, you're right. If you think you're good at performing, you're right. If you think you're not good at performing, you're right. Yeah, if you think you're good at relationships, you're right. If you think you're not good at relationships, you're right. And what I'm getting at is we operate on our beliefs, right? And I'm going to talk about how our subconscious beliefs impact our operating system. But before we do, I'll just clarify a bit more. So we all carry unhelpful beliefs. I have unhelpful beliefs. You have unhelpful beliefs. And the trick is for us to evolve and to be doing the things that we want to do is that we see those unhelpful beliefs and we can challenge them or we can accept that they're there, right? And there's an art to both, right? So the trick is in what we do with the beliefs. Okay, so two people might carry the belief that they're not good at promoting themselves, right? But one person might say, well, I'm just not good at promoting myself and give up, right? Or just go, okay, that's just the way I am. I've always been that way. That's who I am. Okay, sound familiar to anybody? And feel free to let me know if you can hear, by the way. And another person might go, I'm no good at promoting myself. Well, I'm going to learn. I'm going to change. Hey, Ryan, sound okay? And so we have these beliefs, right? But it doesn't have to stay concrete. Thank you. And I might be not good at promoting myself at the moment, but I can learn to promote myself, right? And that's that sort of mindset piece there where some people just go, well, I'm just not good at it. I'm just not good at social media. I'm no good in front of the camera. Thank you, Ryan. It looks great because you helped me with it. So um, now, if you give up because you're lacking confidence, you're avoiding the very thing that will give you confidence, right? Confidence comes after you do the thing, right? It doesn't come before you do the thing. And so most people attach to being confident. I want to be confident when I get up there and perform, or when I'm sharing my art, or my writing, or whatever it might be, my event. But the confidence comes after, right? And when we attach to having the confidence before, anxiety goes up. Thank you, Shani. And if you believe you're lacking in confidence, you hide away. You think your work is crap. You think you're not creative. You think everyone is better than you. You think that it can never change, right? Your motivation goes down. You withdraw socially because there's shame and guilt coming in. You have difficulty accepting criticism. You avoid risks. You be in doubt more, right? All because you believe you're lacking confidence. Hi, Sally. Thank you. And, we are all crap at certain things. But if you just go through life saying that that's not me, that's not something I can work on, I've always been that way, then you are missing out on opportunities to do what you love and share what you love, right? And what happens is people shrink, right? And when we shrink, right, life lessens a little bit, okay? It loses its sparkle a little bit, right? And it can be challenging to challenge those beliefs and, to go, well, I'm lacking in confidence. What can I do about getting more confidence, right? That can be challenging. On the other hand, there's long-term suffering if you just give up, right? And I see this with musicians, like there's anxiety about performing. And sometimes it's the point where it's like, actually, I don't feel like this is worth it. And, there's lots of beliefs that can be playing out in regards to that. But if we just accept them and go, well, the lack of confidence wins, we shrink. Hey, Cito. Ryan, thanks for sharing that. I film things to post on socials and I don't put it up because of my own judgment. I understand. Today I shared a podcast on my profile, which was with Karina Machado, and really beautiful chat. But I'm like, judge myself, so I'm like, just put it out, just share it, because otherwise the judge will come in. So the subconscious is running underneath the conscious mind, okay? And the conscious mind is what we're aware of, and that's about 10% of our brain function. 90% is in the subconscious, right? And that's where these beliefs play out all the time, and they run a sort of like a filtering system for us. So if I feel like I'm lacking confidence in a performance or that my art is no good, I will look for indicators that it's no good. Okay? My subconscious will be scanning the room for people that aren't interested in looking at my art. Right? My subconscious will be like, oh, they only stood in front of my painting for 2 seconds. Right? Whereas if I'm programming my subconscious to be looking how people value my work, I will start to pick up on the people who value it. Right? So if you're a performer and you're looking out in the audience and you've got this filter on saying, I'm shit, and you're scanning the room, your subconscious is scanning the room for indicators that you're shit. Right? So does that make sense so far? So, another thing with the subconscious is it's the language of the subconscious is repetition. Okay? So the more times we tell ourselves we don't have confidence, the more times our subconscious is being programmed. Okay? And so it's really important to be aware of those things. And, in regards to the language of repetition, for example, a child with a knife and fork, right? It's challenging at the beginning, but eventually over time, possibly years and years and years, as parents know, they might get good at putting their knife and fork in the right place, yeah? And it becomes unconscious, right? It goes into their subconscious, and that has been through repetition, okay? That's the language of the subconscious. Now, a curious thing about our minds is that most of us operate using pictures, okay? So most of us have a picture in the head. Your filter's getting thicker. Hey, Ken, is that a good filter or a negative filter? And we operate with pictures in our head, right? And so, for example, somebody might have a picture of themselves as a writer, right? And they have a picture of what that writer looks like, okay? Our subconscious works towards that picture. Okay? This is why, one of the reasons vision boards can be powerful, right? Because we're planting in the picture in our minds, okay? And then we work towards those pictures. So if I have a vision of myself as a writer with books released and people enjoying those books, right? And also have a picture in my mind what it looks like to be a writer, okay? My subconscious will work towards that. And I might make a decision that, hey, I'm going to become a writer. And a writer does this. They sit down at their desk and they write. As I go through the process, I learn more and more things about becoming a writer, and my picture changes. If I start planting in negative pictures, right? I mentioned it before, optimism, future, if I start planting those negative pictures, right, it impacts my confidence. We start to hide. It deteriorates our work. We think we're less creative. We think we can never change. We think everyone else is better than ourselves. Motivation drops. Okay, so these pictures can be really crucial. Now, the job of the subconscious is to help us. Right? It cannot filter if what you're telling it is correct or false. It cannot tell if what you're telling it is helpful or unhelpful. Okay? So there's a few little tricks. So, for example, actually, I'll come up to them. Um, let's talk about, so some people, they go, I'm not creative, right? Psychologist Dr. Dennis Waitley came up with his characteristics of a creative person, right? Now, see if you can get a picture in your head of a creative person. Okay, got it? All right. So most people will come up with somebody that likes to draw, or like to paint, or design, or sculptures, or dresses differently, or plays music, whatever it might be. Okay. What Dr. Dennis Waitley found was the characteristics of a creative person is that they have optimism about the future, they're discontent with the status quo, they have curiosity and skill in observing things, they have the ability to daydream and fantasize, they have an adventurous outlook and interest in many subjects, they have the ability to recognize and break bad habits, independent thinking, and they're able to use both sides of the brain in order to put ideas into action. Not one thing there about playing music or writing. Okay, these are the core characteristics. And almost everybody has those, right? And we might have those characteristics in varying strengths. So, for example, I might have more optimism about the future and be better at being an optimist than being skilled in observation. However, I can learn skills of observation, right? And so when I was talking at the beginning about, the two people with the same beliefs, and one person says, well, I'm going to learn, and the other says, well, that's just the way I am. They're right, right? You are always right. If you say, that's just the way I am, well, guess what? You're right. If you say, actually, I'm going to learn and change and grow and develop, you're right. Okay. Okay, let's go for an example. So let's say I'm feeling negative in my optimism, right? What can I do about that optimism? I can hang out with optimistic people, right? Because the inputs around me impact my output, right? So the subconscious, if I'm hanging around people that are pessimists or have the habit of being pessimists, my thinking will become more pessimistic. If I'm hanging out with people who are more optimistic, my subconscious gets that repeated message, right? And changes. So if you want to build your optimism, you can hang out with optimistic people, right? Avoid things like the news, right? The news, fear sells, okay? That's what makes the sales. That's what keeps people watching is fear. So switch off the news. Another strategy linked to that is filtering your social media so that your social media is full of inspiring people, inspiring actions, and knowledge that you want to learn. Okay, you are programming your subconscious. So, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced just about to go to bed, look at social media, get on your phone, look at it, and then wake up in the middle of the night thinking about some crap that was on there. Like, I know 12 months ago when I was in lockdown, I had to become really aware of that because it was just like running. My subconscious was trying to solve the problems of the pandemic and how I get out of a lockdown, right? And it was just running, and I had to get to this point where I had to break that pattern because my subconscious was being programmed with the repetition. Okay, so filter your social media. Now, another thing you can do is, say, for example, I said to you, keep your eye out or look around the room for the color blue, right? Pretty obvious here. And then now look for other areas where you see blue. You can do the same thing with optimism. Keep your eye out where you see optimism. Right? It literally could be on an advertisement. Right? It could be in a conversation you hear. It could be on a podcast you listen to. Another way about optimism is, if something is draining your energy, okay, it's not right for you. If you're gaining energy, it's right for you. And there's lots of things that we can talk about. Now, I actually might do that one time. We'll talk about beliefs, and beliefs that drain you and beliefs that gain you, right? Okay, so if you're feeling things are, how are we going for time? Oh, 4 minutes, better get moving. If you're feeling like things are crappy for you right now, review your beliefs, right? Because there's probably a belief there that's bringing you down, and you can identify the belief and make a different choice, right? This is what I help people do, okay? We have a chat, we explore their beliefs, and then we come up with strategies and habits that will change them, okay? Now, let me just see. You're always right, because we create with our higher self guidance and vision, right? In cooperation with our beliefs, right? If your beliefs are dysfunctional or not congruent with your values or your vision, it creates dissonance, right? And so what we do is we explore the dissonance, right? Find out, what is it that's not quite matching up to how you want the world to be or what you want to create. Okay? And then how are you not showing up because of that belief, right? And then the habits reprogram the subconscious and challenge those beliefs. All right, I've said this before, books and YouTube will only get you so far, and the key is accountability to making these habitual changes, right? Because it's the repetition, and without accountability, it gets hard, okay? And what happens is most people slip back to their old ways within 2 to 3 weeks. So chances are you'll get something out of watching this video and then slip, right? Because the habits aren't formed. So working with me, that's what we do. We get in the habits. And I've got a program that I'm excited about that I'm going to tell you about in the next week or so, which will help with that. But at the moment, if you want to get on a connection call with me and we can have a chat, if you found value out of today, I'll put a link there for a connection call. And yeah, you can hop on that link and organize a call with me, and we can chat about how I might be of value to you so that you can create what you want to create. And the reason I do these videos is because I love to serve. Like I really love helping people. And these days my life is devoted to having a beautiful experience of life, having beautiful connections with people, helping people, and being creative. So, wonderful to hear, Steph. So, I'd really like to encourage you to break the pattern, right, of trying to work it out on your own. Culturally, that's what we're taught, work it out on our own, right? And most industries, they use coaches, right? Sports industry, right? Business. For some reason, the creatives, we seem to have lost, not connected into that, how important it is, and we don't have experience of it. So I really encourage you to get on a connection call, right? Because it could make a real difference to you. All right. You are always right. Okay. Now, pop in the chat box if you like something that you've got out of tonight's Creative Crunch, because I'd love to hear what you've got out of it. And you could also pop in there if you like something that is of interest for you that I could do in another Creative Crunch. Now, you're always right? Because you act in accordance with your beliefs. If something's not working for you, look at your beliefs. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Steph. So you see what you want to see because of the filter, okay? If you're judging yourself as being crap, guess what you're going to see? You're going to see crap. If you're judging yourself as lacking confidence, that's what you're going to see, right? So changing the filter. All right, last thing about creative people. Have optimism about the future. See if you got these things. Let's do that, right? Optimism about the future. Discontent with the status quo, so you like things to change. Curiosity and skill in observation. You notice things that other people might not notice. The ability to daydream and fantasize, create visions, right? An adventurous outlook and an interest in many subjects. A few of you on this call, I know that you definitely have that. The ability to recognize and break the habits, right? crucial. Independent thinking and able to use both sides of the brain in order to put ideas into action. Okay. All those skills can be learnt and practiced. Okay. So if you're saying, oh, that's just the way I am, I challenge you. I challenge you to go to that belief where it's like, I can change that. I can learn that. Because all these skills about creativity, you can learn them. You can change. All right. Thanks so much for your time. That's the 20 minutes. Creative Crunch. How's your creative abs? And thank you so much. And yeah, connection call links there if you want to connect and see if I can add value to the way that you do things. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate that. And thanks, everybody, for coming along. Lots of love. We'll see you again soon.